Oh, welcome back to the Vintage Super League, or what's left of it.
Yeah, everyone. I should have waited for the camera to roll to apologize to Rich. I was telling him no matter how bad he feels now. Yeah, so you'll watch it and you'll go, I can't believe I lost to this guy. I've never seen someone play so bad because I just made a mistake every single turn. I mean, literally once or twice a turn. Like it was nuts. Fetch the wrong land. Play the wrong.
I think the only conclusion we can draw is that whoever designed your deck was really clever.
And then, but the funny thing is in reality, you should have lost so easily that you maybe feel okay about losing. Like, because I don't know, I've never played so bad. I knew I'd rusty.
Am I?
I was like, wow, defense grid, what does that do again? DAC, how does DAC work? Then I'm like, I have to stony silence myself. Like it was, then I didn't treasure cruise for no reason. I could have just treasure cruised, and I just didn't do it.
I was really glad when you passed with 2 mana up because it made you have to sacrifice your mentor. And that last turn, my thought was anything but DAC. Come on, not DAC. But it turns out DAC.
Yeah. So it was. The funny thing is, I was holding balance, and I was like, well, maybe he has to hold cards in his hand because of ancient tombs. So worst case scenario, I have to balance away his creatures, and then I'll be able to keep a mentor in my hand, and I'll win. But then you actually went down to 0 cards. So, but I had DAC the entire game. I put Lotus on bottom.
You could have just played DAC earlier.
Well, I could have played it turn 3.
Did you not have the red source for it?
Right. I didn't. I had to wait a turn. And then I didn't keep the Lotus on top with Preordain because I didn't need it because I was just going to cast DAC next turn anyway. But then you cast Defense Grid into Tanglewire, so then I couldn't cast DAC. And it kind of caused the game to go much longer. Like if I just kept Black Lotus on top, I would have gone take your Foundry Inspector with Tanglewire in play. And the game would have just played out so much differently. But I don't need Black Lotus.
Well, you did make Black Lotus not very good.
Huh?
You did make Black Lotus not very good.
It was just a weird spot for it, where I felt like I didn't need it. I had the Force of Will. I was going to Force of Will your play on your turn, and then DAC faded on my turn. But you played Defense Grid into Tanglewire.
I think that Defense Grid that I scried to the top was the last thing I drew the entire game. I think both of our games, I essentially drew nothing.
Oh yeah, you drew nothing. I mean, obviously it happens more with Shops decks than other decks, but yeah, you drew nothing.
It does. I mean, there's 25 mana, and the rest of the deck, the other 35 cards are all threats, but I couldn't seem to draw them. I drew Tanglewire, I think the turn after it was too late, and yeah, I don't know. My poor draws can match up against your poor plays any day of the week.
Oh yeah, your draws were not as bad as my play. Maybe they were actually. Maybe those were on par.
I don't know. They were. If they had like a Hall of Fame for terrible, my draws would probably be in that.
I might get voted. Maybe I'll get voted into both Hall of Fames this year. That'd be pretty sweet.
Well, you certainly deserve to be in the actual Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I just haven't played with these cards in so long, and especially because there's new cards. You know, I've never played with Mentor before. I've played 6 matches with Mentor with the card monster. And let
them cast spells.
Yeah.
Wait for the triggers to happen. Click through the triggers a bunch.
Yeah, there was just a lot of. It was just nuts. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry that you couldn't have at least lost to a reasonable play.
I might skip the replay on this one. So I think I'm fighting not to be in the danger of relegation bracket. I think is that how this works?
Something like that. But I don't know. I think you probably have to lose again at some point. You'll probably have to lose the next time too.
I'm not entirely sure. I think that the last place person here, as well as the worst third place person from among the 3 groups, is cast off into some pit where the 4 people have to fight their way to escape from the pit, and you get relegated if you are not able to claw your way out. I think that's what happens.
I don't know. I never want to know the rules. I just try to play my matches. I can barely handle playing my matches, Rich. I can't think about what's happening next. It doesn't help that I've been playing Ether Revolt Limited literally like 10 hours a day. So
that's a lot of limited.
Yes, I've done 45 drafts in 9 days. So so that's another problem, is that I just haven't. I can't. It's very different cards. It's very different.
I've done that many drafts in the last like 2 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of drafts.
That is a lot of drafts.
So, not a lot of vintage cards in Ether Revolt, except Walking Ballista, which I did have. Yeah. Which I did have in one of my 45 drafts.
That's hard. So I think today, basically, my goal is to convince Wizards of the Coast not to restrict anything from Mishra's Workshop by showing how terrible the deck can be.
That's possible. I mean, I'm of the opinion that it seems like Workshop, the card, is eventually they're just going to keep printing artifacts. And at some point, we're going to have to be like, all right, that's enough. You can't just cast artifacts for free.
Remember, the last time Wizards restricted a card that was the backbone of a vintage deck, it was Brainstorm. That killed the New England vintage scene, and it literally took years for vintage to recover from that.
I mean, but some people think Gush was the backbone of a vintage deck, and that was restricted for a while.
Gush needs to go. The reason
there's a book about Gush, and they restricted it. It's got to be a backbone of a vintage deck if there's a book about it.
I've been given to understand that someone wrote a book about Gush. I don't know why, but someone wrote a book.
I mean, I can't claim that it was the best thing he could have written a book about. I'm not going to claim that Steve went, what's the most important topic I could write a book about today?
Probably Gush.
Probably Gush. Anyway, they've restricted things that are the backbones of decks before without destroying vintage.
I think that there are a lot of people who will be extremely upset if they restrict this particular card.
These people were extremely upset when they restricted Chalice of the Void. These people were extremely upset when they restricted Lodestone Golem.
I think there's a difference, though. I think Mishra's Workshop, being what it is, being as iconic, as rare, as much of an accomplishment as it is,
as expensive.
I think that it's just not a card that would be good for the format to restrict. Whatever good may come of it would be more than overshadowed by the hue and cry of players and probably the breakdown of a lot of the tournament scene.
Maybe. I don't really get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand the desire for that card to be legal. To me, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I'll never get it.
I mean, you trade in your Ancestral and your Time Walk and your Gushes and your Force of Will, and you get this land. And you just get 4 of this land in exchange for all those ridiculous blue cards. And, you know, that's...
And your reward is that, like, 1 out of every 3 games, your opponent just doesn't get to play Magic at all. How is that good?
I mean, it's vintage. Sometimes your opponent doesn't get to play Magic.
Resistance. Maybe they'll restrict Sphere. And I don't know, maybe they'll even they'll just have to keep restricting things until...
I don't think anything needs to be restricted. I think they don't print cards like Sphere anymore. And cards like Gush are just going to keep getting better as Blue gets more and more toys. Workshop...
How's that not true of Mishra's Workshop? How could it possibly not be true of Mishra's Workshop?
I think Wizards wants us to play with cards like Walking Ballista. It's a big giant robot that shoots missiles.
Rich, I 100% agree with you. Walking Ballista is sweet. What is not sweet is Spear Resistance and Thorn of Amethyst and Crucible and Chalice and Trinisphere.
Chalice is restricted. Trinisphere is restricted. We're playing with cards that were mistakes from a long time ago. Nowadays, they don't print cards like that anymore. I think you're more likely to get a card like Paradoxical Outcome. Yep. And as more cards like Ballista get printed, if Shops is going in that direction, I think it's good game.
I agree with you. If Shops goes in that direction, it's very interesting gameplay. I agree with that. The games where you cast Ballista and stuff are sweet. I mean, actually, these games tonight, your draws were terrible, but they were actually felt like games because the stuff you did draw wasn't Sphere Resistance, right? You actually drew cards that kind of had a play to them.
So I'm still wondering if some of my keeps were right. I feel like my keeps against you were okay, but they were also they didn't do a lot to disrupt you.
True. But don't worry, you didn't get outplayed.
Well,
You didn't. You didn't get outplayed that match.
I'm not sure that makes me feel any better, Chris.
I think the match is ready to go.
All right. Here we go, then.
I don't even. It's been so long, I don't even remember who the other two guys are. We'll figure it out.
It's Brian and Rodrigo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rodrigo's hand is really strong. He has library in it. Brian Kelly has a turn 1 mini Jace. So I think we're going to see the the library.
Yeah, that is. I mean, he knows what he's playing in, so that's well. With the Forcible in his hand, it probably doesn't matter. But I remember one of the early VSL seasons having an opening library hand on the draw, and just being like, "Well, if he's playing shops, his hand is terrible," and not knowing, but he knows. Makes the library hand so easy.
Sylvan Mentor, great deck, fairly soft to library. The entire way the deck plays is that it just sort of takes for granted that it will outcard advantage its opponent, and everything it does is based on that. Unfortunately, it's really not great at getting rid of library. In fact, I don't think the deck even has strip mine.
Yeah, I've always been a proponent. Basically, any of my decks that any of the Young Pyromancer decks I played, any of the mid-rangey decks I played, everything that wasn't combo, I always managed to fit in. Usually a strip mine and a wasteland, but like I just feel like the cost is so low, and every once in a while the effect is just enormous.
The upside is really huge from those sort of cards.
Yeah. Like, this is already going to be a tough matchup. I mean, Rodrigo's deck feels so old school. He's got Yogg Muswell and Tutor, and he's just not. I mean, does his deck really work against your deck?
I don't know. I haven't played it. He has a lot of colors, and he's trying to do a lot of ambitious things.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Strip mine there. He's not trying to sort of work his way into casting a mana drain.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of stripping the opponent who has a Jason play is, since they're very unlikely to get mana screwed with Vince Prodigy in play.
Brian Kelly decks generally have extremely robust mana bases. They don't have a lot of basics, but they have a lot of Jaces.
Yeah, well, the Jace doesn't play, which kind of... Yeah, I don't really get the strip mine there. You're going to have more cards in your opponent, too, because you have library, so don't you want to maybe be able to deploy some?
Not sure. If he
actually lets him get the Jace flipping faster if he wants to.
The strip mine helps Brian get the Jace flipping faster.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't really get the strip mine there. Especially with like Snapcaster in your hand, Mana Drain in your hand.
Rodrigo has a powerful hand, but one that he can't really unleash all that effectively.
Well, he doesn't. He just needs to not have things unleashed upon him.
That's true, but he's not really in a spot where he can cast that force all that effectively. Plus, Brian's already gotten a threat down. Brian could flip Tiny Jace this turn if he were so inclined, in fact.
He's got nothing around. Yeah, I guess he could ponder.
Well, he could play the Lotus if he wanted. Oh, okay. So now Rodrigo has the ability to draw a card this turn plus Time Walk right into his Mana Drain.
Yeah,
that is a huge draw.
Is he not going to do
it? I like drawing.
Maybe he just wants to go up to 8 so he can force a will if he has to.
I guess so, but he's going to be able to have a Time Walk anyway. Right? No, so Time Walk will bring him right into Mana Drain.
I agree. I'm just so rusty on the... Oh, did he just... Oh, he discarded the Lotus. See? I'm not the only one who thinks you don't need Black Lotus.
Apparently, it's just not a very good card.
Am I still the only non-dredge player to not play with Black Lotus in VSL?
I know that I don't play it in some of my shops builds.
Oh, okay. So me and you are the only two to ever not play Lotus.
I mean, it's a great 3-mana boost, but if you're playing a deck like Stacks where you just want to have lots of permanents, it's not always ideal.
No, I was convinced on that it was not good in that whatever that Terra Nova deck I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
The only use I had for it was Lonesome Golem, and
no, I agree. It doesn't really. It's very counterintuitive, but it's actually not great in those sort of decks.
Well, no one who has never played the deck gets it. So this is interesting. Would you keep 2 Snapcasters here or a Mana Drain?
I would want that Mana Drain. I mean, have you ever cast Mana Drain? It's great. You get all this mana, and your opponent loses his spell.
I feel like what's he going to do with 2 Snapcasters?
Flashback a Mana Drain? Wait, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, I'm a little unsure about that.
I'm not sure why he actually cares that much about Dak Faden. Well, he didn't care enough to force a will twice. So.
Sometimes Dak Faden steals your Triskelion and then you lose.
Well, yes. Yes. That's another interesting. Brian did not bring in Stony Silence against you. So he has 5 Moxes in his deck, I think.
That's true. I mean, Mentor Silence is sort of designed to work with Stony Silence in play.
Right. Where I felt like now that you have the Walking Ballistas, I can't not play it. It's just too.
I mean, I would have won that game if Stony Silence hadn't arrived.
Yep.
Just shut off my trike.
Well, double Planeswalker.
It's a lot of Planeswalkers. Yeah. Brian Kelly, interested in having lots of Planeswalkers.
So Rodrigo has Abrupt Decay main deck, but only has his Artundras. Is that an Emerald?
That's Emerald. So he's halfway to being able to cast his 2-color spell in his 4-color deck.
And he doesn't have Pyro's main deck. I think he just has Abrupt Decays.
I think Pyro's the only color he's not running. All right, so he goes back to 7 cards. There's that unplayably bad Black Lotus card that we kept grousing about. Hey, look, this is kind of amazing. He strip mined, losing his land, and then drew a Mox, and now he threw away his Drain only to draw a bonus Mana Drain. So
the weird thing is he has Snapcast. He kept 2 Snapcasters when he has nothing to flash back with them except Time Walk, which you'd think would be good, but here it doesn't seem like it's going to do anything anytime soon. Wait, did he just go down to 5?
Yes, he did.
Let's see. Is he just? Oh, he's flashing back Time Walk now, so that he can kill Dak Faden.
He's decided that Mana Drain's not where that he's not interested in being on Library and is instead working hard to assemble a 2/1 who, like Emrakul, is going to give him a free turn on arrival.
Yeah. Right, so this is basically all this is to kill Dak Faden.
You think that would be a fair card? Blue, 1, 2/1, take a free turn.
So he doesn't have Gush in his deck, so it's not easy for him to get back to 7 cards.
So he's going to be able to annoy one of these Planeswalkers, but not kill either one.
No, he has another turn after this, right?
He got the last turn. He's already in his bonus turn.
Didn't he Time Walk twice?
Oh, he did. You're right. Okay.
But did he not attack Dak? He attacked Jace.
Oh,
because now he's going to Snapcaster and kill Jace.
Wow. It looks like he's going to Ambush Viper in bonus Snapcaster Mage. So he's just taken his 7-card hand and all the bonus cards he's drawn off Library and decided to essentially use a zombie infestation to discard a bunch of cards.
This game played out really differently than I expected.
I would have played this game differently, but I'm sitting here in the OT2 bracket, so what do I know?
Well, I certainly can't critique anyone's play tonight.
All right, so Rodrigo is ready to counter the heck out of something.
I almost drank a beer at dinner, and I was like, oh, I better not. I have to play VSL later.
You have to be sharp.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have had a beer before this. So I feel like if you're Brian, you time walk, right? And you just get more information that way.
Well, you got to assume you're up against a deck. I mean, he must have counterspells in his hand.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if this resolves, though, Brian's going to get to have the ability to play something and then gush next turn.
Why did he manage? Would you have cast mana drain there, or would you have just tapped out for Force of Will?
Maybe he really needs the 2 mana next turn. He's going to get up to 8 mana, and how much does that Gear Hulk cost?
Oh boy. This is...
Hey, wow, it's Library.
I don't really get what happened here.
Well,
Rodrigo
Brian's on a boat. So Brian has managed to put himself into a good position.
Oh yeah, Brian seems like he's winning. Because the mentor is just... Well, I mean, he's got to fight through 1 Force of Will.
Wow. That's a great hand right there. Rodrigo cannot quite kill Dak Faden.
Well, maybe he has a combat trick.
Oh, that's true. You could draw a Mutagenic Growth.
Right.
Evokes. You can cast Might Evokes. Oh, Army of Allah. Easily would take care of...
anything. Really anything here.
So he drew Force Will. That gives him 2 ways to cast Force. Dak Faden down to 1. No longer going to be stealing Moxes. Might Evoke still online.
Well, these Snapcasters are very likely to finish off these both Planeswalkers, so that worked out.
I guess so, but think of all the cards you could have been drawing.
Yeah,
so, I think Brian has to just plus Dak here and see where that takes him, because he probably doesn't need all 3 of those gushes. If he gets a Force, he'll probably win.
Yeah, he really needs a Force of Will.
He drew a second Mentor. That's pretty good. I don't know. Definitely 1 gush, maybe 2 gushes. Looks like gush plus Dak. That makes sense. So
do you gush in response here?
Nah, you have a backup copy. You can enjoy the Mentor next turn again.
Well, you can still do that. Did he play a land? He didn't play a land, right?
He did play a land, I think.
Oh, he did play a land. Okay, sorry.
Abrupt Decay. Well,
there's that Abrupt Decay we talked about.
That's actually a really strong draw for Rodrigo.
Yeah, two straight excellent draws.
Rodrigo has drawn more good cards in the last 3 turns with his 3 draw steps than I've drawn on my 2 matches.
We're past that, Rich.
You're past.
In fact, I'm going to ask Randy to strike that match from the record. It's going to nowhere. It will never exist anywhere. I'm gonna have the only copy of it and show it like during the holidays.
The Chris Bakula holiday special.
Yeah, there should be a Chris Bakula holiday special.
I do know. So are you coming into play and naming that match?
Yes, I would like to name that match.
Brian Kelly masterfully floats red, gushes into Pyroblast.
Yeah, you got a little unlucky. Brian has a lot of... Seems like he has more dead cards main deck. But yeah, you just didn't draw much. So even though he drew a few, didn't hurt.
The Ancient Grudge makes up for at least 1 dead card.
That's true. That's true. He does have Ancient Grudge, and the mana to cast it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so Mentor et al. Have arrived. Rodrigo really needs a good top deck here. Hey, Wrath of God.
So, yeah, I guess he should Wrath.
How do you not?
Well, you could just abrupt decay the mentor, right?
Then he has to deal with Tiny Jace.
Yeah.
This was a pretty spectacular draw for Rodrigo.
Yeah, it's still not going to work out for him.
I mean, that's true. Is there anything that would lower Jace's mana cost by 1?
Did he not? Oh, that Jace is summoning sick, right?
Jace's summoning sick, yeah.
Lower casting cost? I don't think there's a card that does that.
There's
until end of turn, target permanent converted mana cost is 1 less than.
Yeah, there are a bunch of cards that let you sort of transform cards in different ways. Riding the Dilu horse gives you horsemanship, of course. And
what did you just say? Riding the who?
There's a card from Portal 3 Kingdoms which teaches you how to ride a horse. It's one of the few cards that actually transforms a card permanently without any sort of counter. You literally get +2 and gain horsemanship.
But it does give it to a creature, right? Not to a player?
That's true.
Okay.
But Sleight of Hand can change any card. No, Sleight of Mind, I guess. Sleight of Hand is a different thing.
Yeah, I would love a card that just said target player knows how to ride a horse.
I guess that would be kind of awesome, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have that or flying?
It would really extend the whole fantasy I'm a wizard thing into more into other things. I'm not just a wizard. I'm also a horse rider.
But you could also just be a dragon, right? You could fall and just become a dragon.
You mean form of the dragon?
Yeah.
Or something else.
No. I'm saying why settle for learning how to ride a horse when you can be a dragon?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably unglued cards that just call people names or something.
I mean, there's Form of the Squirrel, which transforms you into a squirrel, but that just seems like we're just taking evolution in the wrong direction.
Wow! So look at this. This actually because Rodrigo just keeps ripping. This actually got pretty interesting.
Yeah. Wow. So Gearhulk lets you slap back a card in your graveyard gratis. So he could actually slam that guy down and then rebuy a mana drain.
Oh
right?
boy, that's a heck of a brainstorm.
But Brian Kelly continues to be Brian Kelly. So Magic's exciting when both players draw well. This is great.
Oh, he's going to probe him. Brutal.
Oh, man.
It seems weird that the library just didn't convert into a win here to me.
Well, Rodrigo chose to leave the library and hung around in the corner with some mages instead.
Right.
I don't know. The library was there, and much like in real life, the library sort of fell into ruin and got destroyed.
I mean, I guess he did successfully kill both planeswalkers, but the damage was sort of done. It took too long.
Successfully made a 2/1 and its friend other 2/1. All right, so Gearhulk is a 5/6 flash creature, and when it arrives, you can rebuy your favorite instant.
So he rebuys.
He
has to force a will Gataxian Probe. Is that what he's doing?
Oh, he might be mana draining it to get that extra mana. That's going to take him to 7, which would let him cast Spire of Ishtar.
Now, why would he even cast the Gearhulk here?
He loves playing creatures. Rodrigo loves slamming down monsters to attack. This is so much bigger than Meddling Mage, and also various. It's bigger than Meddling Mage. It's bigger than all the invitational creatures, right? Think about it. Bigger than Tiago, bigger than Meddling Mage, bigger than Kai.
I feel like
it's enormous.
I guess because he already used Jace, it doesn't really matter whether you do it end of turn or not. I mean, I know the Swords of Plowshares invalidates all that, but
Swords invalidates a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of Gearhulks. Wow, Rodrigo just can't stop drawing incredibly.
He can't. He can't cast Abrupt Decay and Leovold, though.
He doesn't care about Abrupt Decay.
Oh yeah, he doesn't need to. The Sylvan Library doesn't work with Leovold to play, right?
No, it's. I mean, Leovold in the picture is just there extending the hand. That's how good he is.
So I guess, but he can just bounce it with Jace.
And
Rodrigo draws
then
a card.
Rodrigo just draw a card.
Yeah, but then you get to cast Ancestral Recall.
Yeah, but Rodrigo can just draw into a Snapcaster to buy back a Mental Misstep. And, and I hope Brian doesn't use the Sylvan.
Well, both Snapcasters are gone. How many Snapcasters could he possibly have in his deck?
Like 5. That's the whole point of this, right? That's why he's playing that giant Snapcaster robot.
I don't know, man. I'm behind in the metagame. I played a deck that you built because it looked okay, but I don't even know if it works in the Walking Ballista world.
I'm having regrets about. Look at that! He drew the Mental Misstep. Look at that.
That is incredible.
That
is incredible.
Wow.
He's gonna get misstep back.
Holy moly! Leovold actually just.
If Brian did not have this misstep, this would be so insane.
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe he'll brick. No, he didn't brick. But he doesn't have a blue card.
Ooh, he's gonna. If he plays Mentor, then Rodrigo will probably draw a black source to Abrupt Decay it.
I think you're probably right.
He drew a black source. Wow. It was really good.
So I guess even he doesn't have anything because he already used Time Walk and Ancestral twice. Right? Time Walk and Ancestral are both removed from game?
I think so.
So Yawgmoth's Will is not a particularly good draw. Vampiric Tutor is not
the counters. If he has Quicken Yawgmoth's Will, it'll be really good.
Dig Through Time gets around.
Sounds pretty spectacular. Man.
Yeah, that's a pretty good draw too. These guys know how to draw. So if he just gets Swords to Plowshares and a blue card.
Yeah. Let's see how good Digging Through Time works out for Brian. Do we get a hand cam of Dig Through Time?
Just 7 blanks.
Oh man, there's a Pyroblast and a Force of Will.
All right, so that's good enough.
That seems pretty strong. It looks like Rodrigo gets to enjoy 1 card out of this, but now
Rodrigo just doesn't have much left in his deck.
Do you think
feel like he's used so many powerful cards already? I guess he still has Dig and Treasure Cruise, I think.
That'll just accelerate the decking process.
Does he draw Mental Misstep? Oh.
Man, draws Force. Close, very close. All right, so Brian Kelly finally gets to enjoy a brainstorm with Jace.
Wait, did he Fate Seal? He Fate Sealed.
Oh, never mind then. I guess he did not get to enjoy a brainstorm with Jace. All right, Rodrigo. I like building up to a library here, I think.
Yeah, but conceding might be the...
That's also an option. So Brian Kelly puts back Sylvan Library number 2, also with the wrong art. All right, looks like Brian Kelly is in fact on the decking him plan.
He's at 13, so you can also just start taking cards as Sylvan.
Well, ooh, that's actually really good because Brian's probably not tremendously interested in the Tropical Island or the wrong art Sylvan Library, so he can preordain them to the bottom and then just start taking a look at fresh cards.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. But he didn't do that. Oh, no, he's fate sealing.
Rodrigo's probably thinking how many cards he would have drawn from all this fate sealing if his buddy Leo were still around.
So he's not preordaining, even though he...
Oh, well, I don't understand that. But, so Rodrigo gets to Ancestral with Force backup, and it still won't resolve, but at least he gets to enjoy some false hope. Oh, wait, no, will it?
No.
Yes. Oh, no, wait. Ancestral Force, yeah, okay. No, Brian's got this under control.
But he's going to, yeah. I thought his Ancestral was gone, so I was just wrong on that. So Yawgmoth's Wills now, or Snapcaster, is a better draw, because both these Force of Wills now are going to get used.
Right. It's always risky when you start ticking up Jace. You let your opponent start to, if he has 2 good cards in a row, then bad things can happen.
How many Mentors are dead?
I only see 1. It looks like Brian still has...
He cast Dig through time, so it's possible.
There weren't any to dig either.
Is it possible all 3...
Oh, that's true. We can't see the Exile Zone from here.
Is it possible all 3 Mentors are gone? Does he only play 3? Yeah, he only plays 3, so it's possible.
I guess so.
So maybe that's why he's decking, because he's, either they're all gone or he's worried that one of them is going to be on the bottom of his deck or something.
Well.
Although if you preordain, it can't be on the bottom of your deck.
Well, Dig and preordain stop that.
Yeah.
Oh,
3 are gone?
Brian is all out of Mentors.
Oh, wow. All out of Mentors. So that explains...
It does.
Might explain how they played a little bit.
So, Rodrigo had Force, and Brian Kelly found another Force of Will. That's pretty powerful. So
Rodrigo does not actually have a card in his deck that kills Jace the Mind Sculptor. Is that correct?
Leovold can put up a good fight against it, but I think he's just going to get based. Because Brian's ramping this turn. There's that Accursed Ancient Grudge. But you see all the deck manipulation that Brian Kelly has. He doesn't care about bricks in these sort of matchups because he's just able to throw them on the bottom of his library. So, yeah, this one's over. There's the mental misstep. Well.
Do you plus Jace one last time, just in case you...
Nah, he knows that Rodrigo's not on Trick Bind.
Well, he can look at his hand, so...
Well,
I don't even remember what this does. I know you can see the response.
You exile your library, and your hand now becomes your library.
That's not very good, yeah. It's hard to win.
It's pretty close to ending the game without actually saying you win the game on it.
Yeah. I don't even know if I've ever heard a story of someone winning.
So I actually have lost before after Jace-ulting someone. I was playing Legacy Miracles. My opponent was on Soldier Stompy. And I Jace ultimated him, and he just drew the soldiers that were in his hand one by one and mauled me with them.
That.
So I've lost after Jace ulting, but it's the sort of thing you remember because of how rare it is.
Yeah. Is he not conceding? Does he know we're allowed to concede in VSL?
Maybe he's like... Oh, Brian has 3 cards in his library?
Is that right?
Holy moly.
No, he conceded.
Okay, so Brian was pretty far down on cards. That was intense.
That was a long game that I feel like it could have gone so many different ways. Like if Rodrigo plays differently, the game if he just does that time walk, mocks, time walk, untap, library again, and then has mana drain up, whole game's different.
Yeah, I would have stayed on library, but I really like library. Rodrigo could have played a brain freeze. There are a lot of things that could have gone differently there.
Let's see. Tudor comes out. Although
that's not usually good against blue decks.
Is he taking the Swords to Plowshares out?
It's part of the difficulty of Monastery Mentor as a Magic card is 1-for-1 removal is sometimes life-saving and sometimes unbelievably terrible.
Yeah, but I feel like when you have Snapcasters in your deck, you have to have at least one to have access to, right?
Abrupt Decay does everything you need that to. Brian Kelly, amazingly, is not playing Dromoka in this list, so
Abrupt Decay... Those Abrupt Decays are kind of overworked in this matchup, though. Sylvan Library and...
They are. I agree with that. And it looks like Brian is cutting a Tiny Jace. Wow.
Feels like, why do you have Jace in your deck if you cut it in this matchup?
Yeah.
They both have Supreme Verdict, which I find funny. That's a new vintage. Makes sense. I mean, it's uncounterable, so...
Yeah, sometimes you need to kill Mentor and all his buddies.
Yeah. And I brought in Balance against Rodrigo.
I think Balance makes sense against a lot of these decks. Balance is really strong right now.
Yeah.
So Brian takes out, looks like, Ancient Grudge, leaving the Mindbreak trap in, though. And I think Brian needs one more cut. He's cutting a Sylvan? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're cutting... If these are why not cut a Mox? I mean...
Yeah, so I feel like Sylvan Library is everything you've ever wanted in this matchup.
Cutting a Sylvan and a Jace seems very strange to me.
It does. Speaking of, there's a Gear Hulk.
Rest in peace. That's interesting. So that explains why he cut the Jace.
Oh,
I didn't see that he brought in Rest in peace.
I guess. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I like Rest in Peace because of Rodrigo being in a Gear Hulk theme deck.
Well, obviously, right. I mean, that's what it's for. But so, you have a lot of cards that are hurt. He also has Yawgmoth War in his deck.
That's true.
Maybe I should have brought in Rest in Peace.
On the other hand, Tiny Jace doesn't get shut off. He's not Tarmogoyf. He just transforms into Merfolk Looter.
Right.
So it's not like he's awful if you have Rest in Peace out.
Well, if he flipped, yeah. Yeah, he's not unplayable.
Yeah, he never...
No, I'm saying if he's already flipped, then he's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he's already flipped, you've gotten your spell back anyway.
Yeah. Maybe I should have brought in Rest in Peace against Rodrigo. I didn't think about that. So of course, I didn't know exactly what his list was.
I need to figure out if I'm going to bring in my Graveyard Hate against him. It's always tough to bring in cards with shops because you don't have the ability to make up for your lost cards.
No. It's pretty tough.
It is. So...
And it costs a lot of mana to flash things back, so it's not as effective against you.
That's true. That's true. If you're slamming down a Gear Hulk, I've lost anyway. So it looks like Rodrigo's hand is hoping to drain into...
That was quite a flurry.
That was a bunch of Phyrexian mana. Elish Nor is happy about that. So if you're going to play Rest in Peace, isn't this where you... Why wouldn't Brian Kelly play Rest in Peace there?
Well, he probably wants a card to discard to deck Faden.
But then why bring it in if you just want to discard it?
Well, he's making a strategic. He looked at his hand. He made a decision. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't think it's a great card. He thinks it's a marginal card, but better than what he took out. Or he'd like to have the extra card to discard to deck. But now he's facing Mana Drain, so...
Yeah, well, I guess you drew Library. Library is a great card when you're facing multiple Mana Drains.
That is a very good draw when your opponent has counter spells but not land. Well, you gotta fire off this Treasure Cruise before you cast Rest in Peace. That's for sure.
So if Rodrigo can play, wow, he drew a land, so it looks like he's going to be able to play Leo, and that's going to make Brian Kelly's line of hold land drops to play library look much less exciting.
Right. It also makes Treasure Cruise, it makes everything less exciting. So he's got a brainstorm response.
Yeah, it turns Treasure Cruise into a raft.
It makes Stack Faded into garbage. It makes everything garbage, basically.
It really does. Sylvan Library is just a pile of sticks out in the woods. Okay, so this actually didn't work out too badly. Brian Kelly's going to be able to force Leo, and I think he has to because it makes his entire hand complete garbage. And then he's going to be able to play
Treasure Cruise.
4, 5.
He has a fetch land, right? Or do you just put it back with brains? He's going to draw a fetch land, I think.
So fetch land, 4, 5. Yeah, he's going to be able to play Treasure Cruise and Sylvan Library. So that's actually huge. He's going to be able to get way ahead here. And Sylvan Library is pretty good with Library of Alexandria. The two libraries are kind of buddies.
Library of Alexandria is what put Rodrigo in a position where he had to tap out. I mean,
yeah. It beats the waiting game. I mean, Library of Alexandria is a really neat card gameplay-wise. It's also completely broken.
Yeah. It's been a long time since it's really dominated, though, where I felt like, wait, does he need? I guess he only has 6.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to library, but he can slam down the other library this turn after he draws 3.
Yeah, this is gross.
This
wow.
This is wow, that was huge. So this is looking spectacular for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because now he doesn't even need Ancestral here.
He doesn't
because he just Sylvans. He's probably going to, I guess. But
it looks like to get into library range.
I just feel like it's
that hand.
Just cast the Sylvan Library. I don't know. Sylvan Library seems better, but
slightly. Yeah, I guess with Library of Alexandria out, I like Brian's play there.
Well, you can just Sylvan up to 7 cards next turn.
He's
at 10. Yeah, he is at 10.
And we know that Rodrigo is not against just
Ambush Viper. That's true. I didn't realize he's already at 10. Yeah, you don't want to lose to Ambush Vipers.
No, I think Brian's in a great spot here.
Well, he doesn't. You got to remember, like his counter spells are Force of Wills. So, and Rodrigo can like Snapcaster with Mana Drain backup. So it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a favorite, but I feel like Rodrigo might be able to. It's not impossible that he could steal this, but it's pretty unlikely. Well, maybe it is impossible between the Gush and the Time Walk. It might be impossible.
Brian Kelly's probably not going to go around losing to 2-1s. It's possible, and it looks like Rodrigo has decided. I don't hate this play because he can just rebuy his brainstorm in the worst case.
Right. I mean, if you're Brian here, can you really let him resolve a Snapcaster?
You have to, because if you force it, then he's going to drain you, and then you're going to be dead. You can't let him mana drain a force.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's a pretty solid
Plague.
there, Rodrigo.
Virulent Plague, huh?
Yeah. Kills all the young monks. Not the master, but all the younglings. Just goes all Darth Vader on them.
I guess he also brings that in against Dredge.
Yeah. That's the reason to play that over the 1 mana version.
So he just goes for Jace here.
Well, there's no way the champ can possibly let this happen. It's going to be painful, though.
Is it better to hardcast Force of Will there than draw a card?
I really like drawing cards.
Yeah, but, I mean, he discarded Gush.
Oh. I don't know if I like pitching Gush, because if this gets forced back, you're kind of priced into gushing. Gush would have let Brian Kelly go back to the library.
Yeah, I don't like that play either. Like, Time Walk is not going to be necessary here. Neither's. I would definitely have kept the Gush. Gush always gets you back.
Yeah, I would have kept the Gush too. I think I would have pitched Dak. I guess Brian did not anticipate the bonus Force
I
of
mean,
Will.
I think that's just another reason to hardcast Force of Will. Because you can.
Right?
What happened there?
What did happen? What happened there, Chris? I'm very confused.
What happened? Oh, both Force of Wills happened. It's just Brian's hand is lagged. That's all. Confusing.
So Brian's at 5 cards. He can play Dak and Time Walk.
Yeah, pitching Gush was
It hurt.
It hurt, but he drew one.
He found a new one. Well,
yeah. But he's at 5. No obvious way to stop this.
That's true. But he has an entire turn. He'll see about 6 cards on this turn. More if he casts Preordain. So this is looking really good for Brian Kelly.
Good, but not sealed up.
Non-deterministic, but still favorable.
Got lucky to draw another Gush.
All right, so Brian's back in the library.
There's that rest in peace again.
There it is. He still hasn't used Dak, has he?
No.
All right, so he's digging for a Monastery Mentor.
I feel like even a Swords of Plowshares would be acceptable. I think he found a Monastery Mentor.
Oh, man, that's good.
Yep.
There's Mentor. This one's probably over then. Mentor means you don't have to spend your time caring about.
Well, he has. Rodrigo has Virulent Plague on top of his library? Or no?
He does. I think he put it back with Brainstorm. So I think that'll be annoying, but even the humble 2/2 answers Monastery Mentor or Snapcaster Mage. So do you like brew at night thinking up decks to use Meddling Mage just to find an excuse to have it see more play?
No. Meddling Mage really depends on your opponent's deck more than your deck, unfortunately.
Mm. It does.
And creatures are so good now. It just has trouble tangling with anything. So.
Do you wish you had given it Bushido?
Or horsemanship. I wish it had horsemanship.
Oh, that's what riding the Dilu horse is for.
Yeah, I know. So now, you've given me an idea for the deck.
I think we've broken the format.
The best Meddling Mage deck I ever designed was for the Invitational one year. There was an auction of the geniuses or something where 17 of us built decks. And the deck I built was all the invitational creatures. And it used one of the Vanguard cards, like those weird Vanguard
I have
state cards.
Those are awesome.
So it used the one where you could see your opponent's hand at the beginning of the game, and it had Meddling Mages and Cabal Therapies and Dark Confidants, and even had a Kai's card in it, I believe. It was a sweet deck.
Right. That sounds incredibly awesome. So did someone pay a lot in the auction for it?
Yeah, I don't remember. I know that Anton Ruel went 3-0 with it. I don't remember how much he paid for it.
I love that format. So at CMU, we actually did that with dual decks and other precons. I brought about a dozen dual decks and precons to Magic at CMU one day, and we did that sort of auction of the people with them.
That's cool.
So you in random order, you pick a deck and you bid any amount of cards or life that you lose at the beginning of every game, right. And one card is worth infinite life. So Liliana ended up winning that.
Did anyone go to 5 cards on it either?
I think Jace.
5 cards that's the mono blue one?
Yeah, that's an incredibly good deck.
Yeah, it's got Spire Golem in it, so it's got to be.
It's Spire Golem and Gush and Daze and Counterspell. I won a vintage tournament. I won a sanctioned vintage tournament with that deck, card for card.
What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound plausible.
It was awesome. So, a local game store decided that they were going to have a sanctioned vintage tournament.
Oh, do you think this is? Oh, I guess he's doing this before blocks.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were joking about Might of Oaks before, but it looks like Brian Kelly is sort of building his own. Now.
Oh, right. He's the fact that it's so now it doesn't matter if it gets countered or not. He can just block.
Right. Had he waited, he would have been able to minus stack and then just mise whatever he's ever wanted with Pyroblast.
Yeah, I guess that some people do still play Young Pyromancer. Like, it just seems like Dread of Night costs 1 and is better against Mentor, but I guess if the card's good enough to bring in other matchups.
There's also illness in the ranks.
Right. But there's also like Thalia decks, right?
But Thalia decks, yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that they're all justifiable. The other thing that illness in the ranks does is that it hits tokens out of Oath.
Oh, that's good. They can never give you a creature. That's quite good.
That's right. Here, have it's dead. Which does not get into the flavor of spirits getting killed, what with them already being dead and all that.
This card does the same thing, though.
It does.
But 3 mana is a lot.
3 times as much. So it's very interesting there, by the way. You'll note that Rodrigo declined to Abrupt Decay either about to Ultimate Dak or either of the Mentors. I feel like if you're not going to hit a Dak at 6 or a Mentor, what are you doing with Abrupt Decay?
Well, he's probably going to hit a Mentor when it attacks, right?
I guess so. He's just walking into Misdirection. He's walking into Mind Break Trap.
Well, he has Deckless, but yeah.
Brian Kelly has a main deck Mind Break Trap. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, even if Mind Break Trap weren't the optimal play at the time, if I had the opportunity to Mind Break Trap and Abrupt Decay, I'd probably take it.
Me too. Oh, Supreme Verdict here would be a really insane draw.
It would be, and Rodrigo is really good at... Oh, he can't cast it, though. It's double white.
Oh, he can't cast it. Yeah, his mana is bad.
Well, he has a 4-color Nephilim special. So, I feel like if you're Brian Kelly, you're just going to go for the win this turn. I mean, he basically has Rodrigo dead.
Yeah, but that's another reason to wait on the Abrupt Decay. Maybe make Brian make a mistake that he wouldn't make otherwise. Yeah. Sets himself back on mana. I mean, obviously the Black Lotus kind of screws that up.
If Brian finds that Mind Break Trap.
Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo knows he has to gamble, right? He has to take chances. So, like, he has to hope that somehow Brian maybe makes a mistake going all in when he shouldn't. I don't see what else.
Though we might actually get to the point where Brian just makes one of these Mentors lethal all by himself.
He's probably going to dig. So he's going to dig through time here. He should dig through time and cast Rest in Peace. That's 2 more.
Just a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's true. This Mentors...
So Rodrigo has to go to 10 to cast Abrupt Decay, and the Mentors are currently at 6. So Brian Kelly just needs 4 more spells.
Yeah, I think...
Dude, this is deterministic, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I guess he's just going to win.
Wow. Brian Kelly making Leviathan-sized... He found it! Oh, this is great.
Yeah,
this is absolutely great.
This is pretty great.
He found
this certainly makes Virulent Plague seem useless.
Yeah, that's the problem with cards like Virulent Plague. It just isn't actually very good. Like, you play these things that deal with part of, but not all of, your opponent's 3-drop, and then your opponent's 3-drop just hulks up into being a 10-10 and bashes you anyway.
It's also, he was just losing so badly already.
Well, yes. I mean...
Brian had so many resources. Like, you're not supposed to be able to... In a close game, you can't make your Mentor a 10-10.
Well, you know, I had to suffer through getting my head kicked in multiple times tonight. So at least I can enjoy watching Brian Kelly do ridiculous things with his mentor. Come on, Brian, just attack here. Just attack here.
Yeah, it seems like if you're holding Mind Break Trap, you can't lose. But...
He has a Mind Break Trap and a Flusterstorm. I can't wait for him to Mind Break Trap this Abrupt Decay. This is going to be great. This is the stuff dreams are made of here.
Wow. I don't know if I'm going that far.
This is going to be a great story. Uncounterable spell? Nope. Nope. Brian Kelly has other ideas. He even has Flusterstorm backup just in case.
And Pyro and Misstep.
Yeah. He has enough counters to make the other one lethal anyways.
Well, that was man, this game, I don't even remember how the beginning of this game. Oh, this was a library game for Brian, right?
We've seen 2 library games. So what we're learning is that library is really strong.
Yeah, but that one, you know. Oh no! So I get to play Brian, steamrolling everyone. But
are you gonna play Brian? I still have to lose one more match tonight, don't I?
Or win. Just try to win.
Given historical precedent, I find that unlikely, but okay.
I think you're due. You've got 4 draws. This doesn't actually work that way. I'm sorry.
No,
it does not help. But your deck seems very good against. I would think if Rodrigo's deck isn't bad against shops, then everyone would have been playing 4-color good stuff for years. So I'm assuming it is bad against shops.
Inshallah, but we'll see. So it looks like the next up on the docket is going to be, you and Brian.
Yeah. So maybe he'll draw all Moxus and I'll Stony Silence in game 1. That would be sweet. Right?
That would work. That would work. I mean, it's going to be a good game, I'm sure. And then we'll finish off with me taking on Rodrigo likely to see who ends up going to the abyss.
Well, no, remember, Rodrigo's 1-1.
Right. All right. So I'm 0-2. So I need to beat Rodrigo, and then we'll both be 1.
Right. They'll be right. So we'll see what happens. There could be. I don't even know what the tiebreaks are, but.
Randy listed them in an email, and they're very complicated.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's that many ways to do it, but.
Let me take a look.
Well, I don't know if we need to get into that. It can't be that simple. So.
Game win percentage and then head-to-head, I guess.
Oh, game win percentage. Now, it is weird that there's complicated tie breaks, but then Eric did not write like a 19-page email with his thoughts on the tiebreak system, which is normally what you expect.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know why we didn't get that. See, that's why I didn't know we had decided on tie breaks, because I didn't see Eric's 19-page email.
That's how it all works.
Yeah, that's how we know the tie breaks are perfect. So, all right, I guess we're going to take a break, and I'm going to try to play better Magic.
All right. Well.
And good luck in round 6, Rich.
Thanks. I'll need it.